D4 bad, D4 bad, D4 dog shit. Oh my god, man. There's more of this, man. The most broken builds from Season 5 PTR.
There's not really any secret about my thoughts for Season 5. Kind of shit. Oh well, it's alright, considering it's Season 4 just worse. But despite this, I have full faith in the Diablo 4 team.
No. Man, how many videos is this guy making? It's crazy.
Make Season 5 the best one yet. Anyhow, at least we got some sick fucking builds to look forward to in the new season.
Or do we?
Nah, man, they're actually cool for real, especially from one class in particular, and less so from another class. And here are a bunch of the ones I tested,
the sorcerer
and in true
bullying.
paragaming fashion, we'll end the video by ranking all of the classes along with throwing in some feedback, aka a rant, as we go.
Looks so happy.
Typically, we rank them from bonkers to mid to shit.
Bonkers? I mean, that must be where Barb is. And then SORC is like, I don't even know. It's not on this list.
But I'll add in an additional ranking just for this one, and I think you may know which class will belong here. And I'll call this rank the Nutcracker because I'd rather sit on my own nutsack with full force than to spend a second longer playing this shit class right now. Alright, so let's start with my favorite for season.
The SORC bullying just doesn't stop, man.
5. The Rogue. Oh man, oh man, oh man. With buffs across the board, a bunch of builds getting buffed, 2 insanely cool and strong items.
Yeah, Rogue is actually nuts now.
This class is looking to win the new season. But the thought
I don't know. I mean, Barb and Rogue are definitely the winners.
on everyone's mind is probably, yo, Mr. Paragaming, what about my 500 gazillion gold Heartseeker Rogue that I definitely didn't purchase gold to deck out? And I mean, it was feeling quite fine on the PTR. Now, while the victimized
Are those, like, Heartseeker items so expensive, man? I know the Barb weapons are. Like, you try to buy a Barb mace with 2 GAs, man? Holy shit, you better take a mortgage on your house, dude. Definitely didn't RMT on the Heartseeker Rogue.
passive is supposedly getting fixed to stop all of the nasty double dipping, it didn't seem to work at all on the PTR. But despite this, the good old Heartseeker build was still feeling as strong as before. This is in part due to the new items, mainly the Varathiel's sword boosting the damage by 3x. But the build also received buffs in terms of a new aspect, the cold clip aspect. This may not look like much at first glance, but it not only provides a 20% big damn bonus by itself, but also being able to use cold imbuement.
Where did he get this tooltips from, man? You deal 0x increased damage versus enemies who are chilled or frozen. Yeah, thanks for nothing.
And what does this mean? Hell yeah, my man. It means we can benefit from all the cold damage bonuses that we couldn't use before, along with the Eldritch Bounty node, for example. And when all of these things are combined, Heartseeker is dealing huge fucking damage.
Big damage.
The main problem of this skill, however, is that if Victimize is indeed dead, then we are looking at a 0 AoE damage skill. And that's pretty shit.
I don't think Victimize.
So we'll have to test it out again just as the new season hits. But for now, I wouldn't delete my Heartseeker character just yet. Coming in next as a clear winner is the Andariel's Rogue. This build was already god tier.
Man, this is like 4x'd on the Andariel's visage. It's insane.
But now it's even stronger.
I have all these 3 builds: Rapid Fire, Andariel, Rogue, and also the Victimize. All 3 of them in freaking S tier, man. And look at this. They're all like insane on the PTR. These 3 are like big winners, man. I mean, there are also some bugs, but that build is just crazy. These builds are just crazy. Only topped by Flay Barbarian. But yeah, they're definitely, the fun police is on this one. And I mean, this one needs it. This one was hitting for 1 trillion. Like, it's not even funny in comparison to the other classes. Like, look at this. This is just not bugged. You can reasonably calculate this damage, and it just hits for 500 billion. Busted.
Not only will you now be able to throw in Smoke Bomb into the mix for 25% more damage, along with getting flat-out damage buffs in the skill tree, but the build can also use the new unique chest with ease. And why would this even help, you may ask? Well, shit, my man, it pulls in enemies. And if you've played the Andy build before, you know how that you want to be up close and personal to the demons you're fighting, and also that the Andariel's helm
you want to fart in their face with all your poison
damage in an AoE area. And what do you think happens if you pull in an entire group of enemies? Hell yeah, my man, they explode. Not only that, but I tested it, and the shadow that you drop once you evade via this item indeed triggers the Andariel's helm, making this item absolutely insane for clearing packs of enemies, even for grouping up enemies on bosses and blasting them down for additional Andy Novas. Flurry, which is typically used in this build to buff your attack speed, was also changed to allow for dashing. So now you're an actual...
I actually really like this playstyle. It reminds me a lot of the Dash Monk in Diablo 3. You can just use Flurry to dash to the enemies. It's actually really fucking fast.
Speed demon in this build. The build is also extremely strong in Season 4 and is a build that I can definitely recommend. Next up is Rapid Fire. Not only was the animation for Scoundrel's Kiss changed, so it looks a bit less like you're taking a piss on your enemies and more like you're shooting out exploding missiles.
Spraying, man, like
wink,
free
wink.
hands.
It also got buffed like crazy. It obviously received all the buffs the other builds got, but also a massive buff to the Tricks of the Trade legendary node.
Hell yeah.
Previously, you had to
Rogue's
spam
eating
cutthroat
good.
skills, followed by a marksman's skill to use this. But now instead you can just dash or whatever, and then continue as normal, basically granting an instant 25% damage.
Pissing on your enemies, man. 10 out of 10.
increase.
You remember when the rogue was drunk? And also the pissing became drunk. So now it's like
Damage
very accurate. Look at
increase.
this. It all hits at the same spot, but before it was spraying all over the place. Drunk.
While on the topic of Paragon boards, the Exploit Weakness board also got a huge buff.
Here again, +2 exploit, but rogue only. Executes everything.
And was massively bugged on the PTR,
Big bug.
executing all enemies. Same story with the Umbercrux sword, meaning I tested most builds without these lovely things.
Yeah, this one was also just dealing infinite damage for some reason. Like I saw on like mods, like Fresh Character, like he was hitting for like 1,000 damage and then boom, 30 billion.
What's dank as fuck though, is that my piece of shit character flat out doubled its damage. Hell yeah, I was pissing out 2 billion crits with my rapid fires on a character with somewhat dog gear from 1
Pissing it
billion.
out.
And man, it just felt lovely. These 3 were my favorites on the PTR, but I also tested a bunch of other builds. For example, Flurry got a huge buff, and is an actual build now. Unless Rogue is nerfed to the absolute shitter, I think you'll enjoy this class a bunch.
A rogue's in a really good spot.
Alright, that's the Rogue. Next up is Fatty McFatty here. Didn't think I would ever say this again, but
Not the wood chopper. Fatty McFatty.
Druid is looking like an actual class again. Don't get me wrong, the class is still pretty shit, seeing the most massive nerf possible by completely gutting all storm skills via capping.
Yeah, and there we are with the caps again, man. Current bonus 0% X. Unlucky, man. Now capped at 40. These caps, I just don't like them, man. No matter how I look at it, man, the caps are just not great. Limiting build diversity even further.
Of the Thunderstruck legendary node. But hey, Landslide is not a storm skill, and it got buffed by 4x or so. This build was already clearing above 130 and will be an absolute beast in Season 5. As you can see here, it is a bit clunky when you don't have the gear, however. It also requires 3 uniques to really shine, which feels bad man. But when online, it's going to be an absolute blast. So what changed that increased the damage so much?
Big
Well,
buffs.
damn. The amount of pillar sent out was doubled, and so was the damage from each landslide pillar.
Yes.
Pulverize also got yet another massive buff, nearly doubling its damage once more. I didn't test this one on the PTR, however, seeing as it's still the same build pretty much.
Yeah, Pulverize will be completely nuts for leveling. any kind of content.
But nevertheless, it's going to be a strong leveling build and probably an A-tier build, which is good news for the furry enjoyers. And what about the Wind Daddy build? You know, the one that is dominating Season 4? And with
dominating tier 81. Man, this guy's dominating. 3 minutes in, don't not even double the progress, man. In 81. Sure domination.
I obviously mean dominating the shit tiers, seeing as all other classes are like 10 pit tiers above Druids. Well, seeing as Thunderstruck was capped, damage was halved. But at the same time, we got the new basic skill items, which upped the damage
No, I played the Druid. I played the Landslide Druid. We hit for a couple billion, Keto. It's not true.
Previous levels, if not more. But honestly, man, people have been complaining more about those items than my missus about me not picking up my fucking socks. So those are definitely getting gutted. I hope LOL. The Druid also got a bunch of buffs to its other core skills.
People complain so much, I mean, I guess.
People have been complaining more about those items than my missus about me not picking up my fucking...
So he's talking about the new items.
Socks.
The new uniques.
So those are definitely getting gutted. I hope LOL. The Druid also got a bunch of buffs to its other core skills. But let's be real here, those skills were already shit, and a nerf followed by a buff won't help those. Alright, so that's the Fat Wood Chopper. Next up is an actual class, the Barb. I already told you that Rogue was looking to be my favorite, and why is it not Barb? Seeing as most of my content consists of me spinning against a wall. Well, the Barb felt weird on the PTR. Weird in the sense that I have no goddamn clue what Blizzard is going to do to my class.
Yeah, I mean, Barb already got a lot of nerfs, right? Like, we had Bash nerf, we had Hemorrhage nerf. Those already felt like pretty impactful overall. And we only got some pretty new broken mechanics with the new uniques that are probably not going to stay the same, right? So we don't even actually know like how Barb is going to be. And we know Flay is busted, but that's probably going to get gutted. And then who knows, what are we going to end up with? I don't know, man. I hope they don't change Whirlwind. I mean, they already nerfed Whirlwind by imposing presence also got a nerf. But that doesn't really matter too much. But they already changed Whirlwind by capping the fun on Hemorrhage, right? So we have cap bleeds. And they also changed the double dipping on bleeds. Which is also a good change, but again, it's like nerfing the Barb pretty significantly.
Started off, the Bash Cleave tempo was gutted by a factor of 5. But still, the new items had a bunch of weird interactions and was so insane that the German guy was hitting as hard as 10 billion. Meaning if Blizz
wait, who is this German guy?
Fixes this, and Bash is left in the dirt, then that build is probably dead. On top of that, gushing wounds felt off as well. It was dealing less damage than on the live servers for some strange reason, without any explanations.
Yeah, I think they went back on the code on gushing wounds or something.
Patch
I don't
notes.
know.
And if that wasn't enough,
because that's happened to Victimize, right? That German guy, man, he just hit for 10 billion, but not with Bleeds, man. Bleeds been busted.
Flay got buffed, and people were hitting for trillions or whatever. So in short, this class is unclear as fuck.
It is.
But at least we got some new cool builds to look forward to. And one of them is Hotter Barb. I mean Deathblow Barb. Or well, they look identical, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Tier 81.
With the third blade unique, weapon mastery skills can now be used as core skills. Slap on a Starless Skies on top of this, along with some fury.
This footage is not making it look good, dude. It's in the 80. Look, this guy's struggling to kill the elites.
Region. And you can now spam Deathblow without cooldown. This build was insanely unique, seeing as it was absolutely atrocious at clearing packs of enemies, as you can see here, but once you get to the boss, you deal 1.5x more damage, and you bust all over him.
Is this from the PTR or is this from live? No, this is
deal
from PTR.
1.5x more damage, you can see here, but once you get to the boss, you deal 1.5x more damage, and you bust all over him. Without any of the
This footage does not really make it look any good.
broken uniques, I was able to dish out a respectable 500 million crits with this, and with the broken uniques you'd be seeing 1 billion, which is solid. Other than that though, things are looking a bit grim. Spin to win Dust Devils received some minor buffs, and keeping up berserking is now a non-issue, but the build didn't work with the new items.
Yeah, the Crown of Rishon didn't work, the bleeds were nerfed. I mean, Whirlwind was okay, but it wasn't great.
Thorns was also absolutely gutted, seeing as
Oh
the
yeah,
Rumble
Thorns.
Glyph is now capped, and you can
I really don't understand, man. Thorns was actually a pretty cool build. I don't know, did people not like the leaping around stuff with Rumble? Like now you do 3 leaps and that's it, you're capped. I even forgot to talk about this in the cap video. Rumble is getting a cap, guys. Yeah, that's so bad, man. I don't like this at all. 1.3x cap on Rumble, dude. Less fun again.
no longer stack up hundreds of multiplicative damage no more just by jumping around like a coked-up squirrel, basically sending the build straight to the fucking trash. A tier that is... Okay, that's the bar.
I think it's really bad. Like, the cap, I forgot to talk about it. Right, Rumble Glyph's also getting a cap.
Barb. Next up is the Necromancer. I'll go out on a limb here and say that Necro was the most balanced class in Season 4, namely Bone Spirit along with all of the yummy minions builds. So obviously, there was only one thing to do. Gut the living shit out of minion builds and buff
Nerf it all, man.
Bone Spirit to the moon. Because why the hell not?
Oh, like, listen to this. This comment is so good, man. So much sarcasm in this.
Here, that is... Okay, that's the Barb. Next up is the Necromancer. I'll go out on a limb here and say that Necro was the most balanced class in Season 4, namely Bone Spirit along with all of the yummy minions builds. So obviously, there was only one thing to do.
Obviously.
Gut the living shit out of minion builds and buff Bone Spirit to the moon. Because why the hell not? Let's start with the minion Necro.
Like, why not, man? Like, nerf all the bad builds even more and buff the strongest builds some more. Right? Yeah,
Every
makes
Necromancer
sense.
build in the game.
Just like what happened with Flay Barb, you know? Like, nerf all the weak builds and then you buff the living crap out of the only S tier build it already had.
Utilize the Shadow Blight key, passive, along with the Blighted aspect to deal big damn. This was a massive issue, seeing as the Necromancers only use this to buff themselves, rather than actually dealing shadow damage.
That's true.
Now, the Blighted aspect was nerfed to become close to useless, but they got no compensation in terms of buffs. So, the damage was halved. On top of that, the Hellbent
I think that key passive is completely useless without the aspect in the first place, right?
Commander also received a huge nerf, 5% per rank.
Like, why?
And you'd stack this as
People were just having too much fun with minions, guys. Shit.
high as possible, meaning every minion build was gutted via this as well, while also making the passive more boring and only usable if you're running a full minion build. This second nerf is mainly just fucking stupid, but the nerf to the Blighted aspect is in my opinion a class design issue. The Necromancer key
Yeah, I think that key passive should do something.
passives are legit so useless, apart from the boner one, that you are running one of them just to use an aspect in your gear.
Like, what key passive do you even play on a dot build now? I mean, you have ossified, but this is like only really strong, and it's already been divided by 2, and it's still insanely strong. On the boner, on the spirit, on the bone spirit, and on the bone spear. But all the other passives, like, what do you even do now on a dot build on Necro?
Yeah. The minion
Don't play one, duh. Just don't play it, dude. Easy fix. Like, just make a Barb.
key passive is so
Dude.
useless, in fact, that you can gain the same bonus
Oh man.
just from a greater affix attack speed on your gloves.
And it's also kept.
That's pretty awful. In any way, I don't know if I'd consider the minion builds as S tier no more. But what is definitely S tier is Boner Spirit. This build was buffed in the mid-season patch and
Why
insanely
do they keep buffing this one?
goddamn buffed in the Season 5 PTR, and it's going to get even
Why?
more insanely buffed in Season 5 probably. But
Already the best build, buff it some more. Makes sense.
Mr. Para Gaming, Big Dick Senpai, I don't see any buffs in the patch notes. Well, damn my man, it's via the new aspect and the new unique
guy.
boots, but also due to another reason that we'll cover in one sec.
Just like
First
Flame.
off, the imprisoned spirits aspect makes your bone spirit explode for an additional 70% damage.
Where did you get the screenshots from, man? It explodes an additional time, dealing 0.0% of total damage, or of normal damage. Great.
And that's pretty good. But really, the main buff
Yeah, they're also
is from
buffing the
boots.
uniques.
The footage that you're seeing is a piece of shit character. It doesn't have any necro tempers and barely any spirit regen. Despite this, you're able to overpower every second and deal up to 1 billion damage. This is due to slapping down a bone prison and using the boots
This is the only S tier Necro build. It's one of the strongest builds in the game.
to gain an insane amount of maximum essence. And if you don't know Bone Spirit, you gain 4% big damn per maximum essence. So I basically went from struggling to get 275 essence for the Banished Lord's Talisman to overpower to
And that's
running
also getting a
around
buff.
with 350 or so essence. And that's pretty nutty.
But this is already the strongest build right now, just like Flay, and both of those builds getting more buffs.
Of that, the build is also receiving buffs in the unique item changes. It started with the Blood Moon Breeches gaining a flat 30% buff, and the devs have said that the Banished Lord's Talisman is also going to get buffed. And this build was already clearing tier 140 in the live server. Just imagine what it will do in Season 5. Definitely a contender for best Season 5 build.
Yep.
Alright, so that's the Cringe Lord. There's no point in talking
boner.
about the changes to the other builds, honestly, because they're so fucking weird that I can just summarize it in 5 seconds by running this clip from Goblin Inc.
There's no way this goes to live. If this goes to live, I don't even know, bro. I'll shave my fucking head bald. There is no way this goes to live.
Go bald.
Perhaps we'll get 2 bald Goblin Inc. members by the end of Season 5.
Ace also lost all his hair looking at the Druid patch notes, man. 2 bald Goblin Inc. gamers.
Okay, we're done now. No, please don't make me. Dear God, please don't make me talk about the Sorcerer. Fine. The class is shit. And we may as well just delete it from the game.
Please don't make me, guys. Northma also lost his hair. Yeah, Northma looked at the SORC and he also lost all his hair.
2 bald Goblin Inc. members by the end of Season 5. Okay, we're done now. No, please don't make me. Dear God, please don't make me talk about the Sorcerer. Fine. The class is shit. And we may as well just delete it from the game at
Please
this
don't
point.
make me.
The Fire Kuma build is still looking to stay at the top, but it's mainly working due to unintended
Kuna.
interactions via Shatter. It was also absolutely gutted,
So how many times is Shatter like penta dipping?
while at the same time utilizing the new insane items. So yeah, not looking too good there. And the other builds? Well, I don't know, my man. I obviously played this class last and it felt god-awful. If the Shatterfire Kuma is getting gutted, then all of the Sorcerer builds will probably be B tier or low A tier at best. The new Lightning Spear build is looking cool, but weak obviously. So go to the forums and cry a bit, because I want to do a
Salty tears, my friends. Give some real feedback. Constructive criticism of the SORC class. That's what we need. Don't need people raging.
Sorcerer in Season 5. So let's rank the classes. First off, we have the Bonker classes.
Barbarian.
This is obviously reserved for the Rogue, the shit-smelling Barbs, and the bonus
Shit eater.
Spirit Cringe Lords. The mid-tier. Hell, this is where the Druid will belong. And so, the final spot.
Fatty McFatty.
Shit tier?
This guy's
Nah,
kidding
that's
me.
too good. Is it good enough for the Nutcracker rank then? Nah. Then what the hell are we going to do with the Sorcerer? I mean, why rank something that isn't even an actual class? There's
Well, Mr. Paragaming. I already gave it a thumbs up. But check out this video, guys. You have a Paragaming, dude. You just can't stop smiling listening to this guy. It's so good. Yep, guys, we have some class balance problems. If you are a SORC enjoyer, my friends, please provide some constructive, and I can't emphasize this enough, constructive feedback and criticism in the PTR forum, guys. The sorcerer class needs your help. Provide some feedback, tell them what you think, and hopefully we can have a more fair class balance come season 5. Hope you enjoyed. GG. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.